which is the subject of today. So I hope I've given a brief summary of Ramadan. Obviously, there's a lot of talks and discussions, and the conversation can be had on the inner dimension of not just fasting, all aspects of worship in Islam, the prayer, the fasting, the Hajj. They have a lot of immense and very, very deep meaning, but it's not the subject of today. We need a whole day for that. So let's focus on Eid Al Fitr. So after 30 days fasting, now we celebrate the end of Eid. So shall I just press here? Yeah?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, so what is Eid Al Fitr? There's too much text you can read later. You can share this.
Yeah, it will be
presentation.
at the end.
Yeah, it's all just information collected from the internet. It's not my creation, so you can have these slides. But the key points here. So it is a holiday. We have two main Eids, two main holidays. Muslims. One is Eid al Adha, one Eid al Fitr. Eid al Fitr, and both Eids each come after one of the main pillars of Islam. So there's 5 pillars of Islam, which I'm sure most of you probably heard of. There's taught in primary schools now as well. So one of them is Ramadan, or fasting. So Eid al Fitr after that. And then the other pillar of Islam is Hajj, which is pilgrimage, is coming in June, end of June, beginning of July. And so Eid al-Adha is after that. So both Eids are occurring after a major pillar of Islam. So Eid al-Fitr after the pillar of Islam, which is fasting, Eid al-Adha, which is after Hajj. So, and what we are celebrating basically, of course, we wanted to enjoy, we wanted to eat, back to normality, if you like. And I'll touch on the various meanings of Eid. But also, and more importantly, is to celebrate the success, to celebrate that I have been able to obey God. I have been able to willingly, although I have the choice not to refrain from my food and my desires for the whole 30 days, from morning till evening, for most of the day, about 16 to 18 hours a day. Okay, so that's, I'll allow plenty of time for questions. I aim to finish the whole thing in half an hour. So you can have, I love questions, so have plenty of time for questions, okay? Now, traditionally, Eid al-Fitr begin at the sunset of the night before starting the new crescent. So when we do the 29 or 30 days usually, we go out searching for the moon. Usually there are specialist teams who will do that, or sometimes just follow the nearest country. It's all possible. It is forbidden to fast the day of Eid, because the day of Eid is a day of celebration. If you fast on that day, you're kind of going off the communal track, where you should be meant to be, celebrating and having that congregational joy. So therefore, fasting is not allowed on Eid day. Also, the month of Ramadan, maybe I can talk more about this with a bit of authority because I lead on a few charities. Month of Ramadan is a month of charity, where obviously when the stomach is empty, you feel the hunger. Now we will remember the pain of the poor and needy. A lot of people, millions of people around the world, they can't afford to have food. They don't have the meal for a day, that one meal a day. And they are not fasting because of Ramadan. They are fasting because of the crisis environments they are in. So it could be war zone, it could be famine, it could be whatever. So now, as a fasting person, I will feel and sympathize with this, and then I dig deep and use my money to donate to charitable causes. And I must say, if you go to any mosque, they will tell you this: charities and charity collections and fundraising in Ramadan, it's a crazy thing in all mosques. Every single day in every mosque, there is someone collecting for some cause somewhere around the globe, which is rightly so, because that's a time, kind of a season. Also, there is another secret why charity is very important in Ramadan, is because everything we do in Ramadan multiplied by 70. So if I pray my normal prayer now, it's 70 times more than last month. So there's a huge encouragement on doing the good deeds, more good deeds in Ramadan, because the reward is multiplied. It's kind of Ramadan rate, Like in taxis, you have bank holiday rate, and here you have Ramadan rate, which is 70 pounds. If you donate £1 now, you get the reward of £70. But once Eid Al Fitr come, the rate goes back to £1 is £1 basically. So therefore, a lot of donations, a lot of charity work happen in Ramadan, and that's obviously it's not compulsory. Only if you want to donate, if you are really keen to get the reward, then you donate your money in Ramadan. Okay, and so that's general charity concept. Now there is another charity concept called Zakatul Fitr, and that is specific to the month of Ramadan and specific to Eid Al Fitr, and that must be done during the month of Ramadan, and there is a deadline for it. If you don't do it, then it is a sin, and that is Eid Day. So by Eid Day, before you do Eid prayer in the morning, you must do Zakat al-Fitr, which is not huge. It's about basically feeding a meal to a poor person, which works out as a £5 per person, and that should be done for everybody. If somebody absolutely poor and they can't do it, obviously, then they can receive it instead. Okay, and the idea is to help and enable everybody to celebrate the Eid and get the joy, you know, of the Eid. So that's called Sadaqatul Fitr, or sometimes called Zakatul Fitr, or a short word for it. Sometimes seen if you go to any mosque, you see boxes called Fitrana. It's the same thing, different names, and that is the £5 per person during the whole month. This is absolute must, but all the other types of charities is optional, unless you are really rich, and then you have to do 2.5% of your money. But it doesn't have to be in Ramadan. But many people delay to Ramadan because they want to get Ramadan rate. You know, if I say, if I'm a rich man and I have to pay the yearly zakat, you should have certain amount of money, and it's called hawl al-hawl, you know, they have to wait for the whole year, and then 2.5%. So every £1,000, you must pay £25. This is different from the tax and taxman. You still have to do the tax and taxman, but then this is an extra thing for the poor and needy. Okay, so £25 for every 1,000. If you have 10,000, £4,000, it's £100 a year. This is the minimum, as we said, but you know, we could do a lot more. That's up to the individuals, and it can be outside Ramadan. But to get Ramadan rate, we will do a lot of it in Ramadan, and that's why people are crazy on fundraising in Ramadan, because that's the time when you catch people and get their money to do your charity work. Okay, because everybody's heart soft, you know, the stomach is empty and hungry, and now they will sympathize, they'll understand what is going on better compared to normal days. Okay, so this, you know, again, this is like just like anything in Islam, there is the outward, you know, outward meaning. There's the inner meaning of it. So the inner meaning of Eid, it's a feast and celebrate, you know, feasting and celebrating, celebrating Allah's grace that God blessed us with well, you know, where we being, you know, give us wellness and afia. Afia, Arabic word, means you are well and healthy, able to fast. God enabled us to fast as well, and enable us to succeed. You know, this kind of rejoicing and celebrating the success of 30 days success, 30 consecutive days, we refrained from our food, drinks, and desires. So that's something to celebrate, basically. Also, what you will find, a lot of Muslims, I certainly find that, and many of my Muslim friends and even imams in mosques always just hammer on the audiences on this, you know, all the time. Is this a time for renewal? You know, a time of refreshing our pledge or commitment to the faith, and stop messing about and start new again. You know, if I'm lacking in the prayer, I start doing my prayer. If somebody messing about doing something wrong they shouldn't be doing, that's up. In Ramadan, what you will find is a lot of, you know, even bad Muslims, and I know this is the wrong term maybe for you to use, but I'll use it. That, you know, like in any faith, you have bad Muslims, you have good Muslims. Bad Muslims in the eyes of God, you know, those who are not fulfilling the commands, you know, like disobedient to parents, horrible to their neighbors, have, you know, horrible mannerism and all that, they need to stop it, you know. And this is a time in Ramadan where they are reminded about this. And that's why you find, my dear friends, that in Ramadan, the majority of Muslims, especially beginning first week of Ramadan, mosques are packed. Usually you'll find in the mosque, like, I don't know, 20, 30 people, 50 people, average prayer. Maybe Friday you have large number of people, but then as soon as Ramadan hits in, that everybody coming to the mosque. So normal prayer become like Friday prayer. Mosques packed, no place to pray. So now, because of obviously everybody is keen now to renew and refresh and start again. But as soon as Ramadan is progressing, they start, you know, this interest start weaning away, and and it goes down, actually to 20th of Ramadan, which is yesterday. And then mosques again packed, because the last 10 days of Ramadan have special significance because it has a night of power. It's called Laylatul Qadr. So again, the numbers start peaking up. And the 27th of Ramadan has additional extra significance. So again, 27th Ramadan, most of the mosques is like, you know, like Friday prayer, really, really busy. Okay, so that's time for renewal. Recommitting, renewing, and also reflecting on our relationship with God. Number 4, healing social wounds. Now, I could be arguing with my brother, argue with my neighbor, having problems, you know, brothers sometimes not talking to each other, or sisters, you know, have issues because of, I don't know, finance or family, you know, problems. And this is a time where everybody get together and forget about the past, forget about the wounds, and let's forgive and be together again. So it's an amazing opportunity. A lot of like family feud problems, you know, solved during Ramadan and Eid time, because the hearts are soft and everybody wanted the pleasure of God. So it's an amazing opportunity to you know, to sort our relationships, social relationships with people around us, particularly the close with like parents and children and brothers and sisters within the family, but also the wider community as well. Bringing the communities together, you know, families together. This is like almost repeating the same thing again here, because in Eid Al Fitr, families visit each other. So it's well known, every family will cook something, and families visiting each other, exchanging visits, sometimes exchanging gifts as well, and with children especially. Very much like, you know, in Christmas, where you give like Christmas gifts, Christmas cards, and presents, you know. On Eid, people just buy new clothes, buy gifts, and visit each other. So this is a time for really togetherness and enjoying, you know, the joy of Eid is really good. Now, final one, reflection and sympathy. I think I've already touched on that, is when someone is going through certain pain. Like if I'm ill, if I go to the hospital, I'm sure all of us went to hospital at some point, and you see people around you really unwell, you know, you're thinking differently, don't we? Because now you're seeing, actually, I'm out of my comfort zone now, I'm unwell, and I see people around me who are unwell. So, you know, how to be so soft and sympathizing with others, you know. Similarly, it's for hunger, you know, if you are hungry, but now you're hungry by your choice, you know. I chose to be hungry, I chose to fast, but then there are millions who are fasting because of no choice, not because of their choice, because they're being forced to fast because of the war, because of famines, because of, you know, the difficulties they are in. And that's the time when we reflect and try to be as helpful as we can. I think that's the bulk of my talk. Now, the Eid prayer, the beginning of Eid Al Fitr and Eid Al Adha, both Eids, we have to begin with the Eid prayer. So where everybody put their best clothes on, come to the mosques, and traditionally also they don't do it in the mosques, they do it in the park. You can see this is not a mosque, so they do it outside in the park, in the open, because it accommodates everyone and everybody will come, men, women, children, everybody. So you need more space. But because of the weather in England, so we go indoor and do it inside the mosques. Some cities recently started doing it outdoor as well. So Eid prayer is not long, has like little sermon, little speech, about maybe 15, 20 minutes, reminding you what to do on a day of Eid. And, you know, just wishing everybody Eid Mubarak, and then pray 2 units of prayer just to celebrate our success by bowing down to God and praying 2 units, 2 rak'ah, Salatul Eid, Eid prayer, on the beginning of the day of Eid. Okay, post-Eid celebration, so Muslims visit each other, greet each other, and usually we'll decorate the houses, you know, we'll put, you know, sometime, you know, like the days or weeks before Eid, you know, so our, you know, families, you know, they do sometime painting, sometimes they, you know, recarpet or whatever, you know, but it doesn't have to be, but sometimes this happen as well, to preparing for Eid, because guests will be coming, friends will be coming, sometimes family members are away, different cities they will come, so preparing the festive, you know, environment basically. Okay, now the next is, this is like a quiz now, some question I've talked too much, it's your turn now. If you can guess, well, this is the pictures of various Eids, kind of traditional Eid prayers and gatherings around the world. Anybody can guess here? We can't talk to those away on Zoom because they're all muted, I think, but we talk to the audience here. Anybody want to guess this? Where this?
You can unmute to if you have an answer.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. This is a Eid prayer. The sisters or the ladies are together. You probably guess from the faces. Anybody knows where this? Is it clear?
I can't quite see. The Imam is looking more at the Imam, which is a nice picture, but I can't see the ladies in the background.
Thank you. Actually, this is a Malaysia.
Oh,
Okay, this is in Malaysia. What about this one?
Can you see the screen? Those on Zoom.
it needs to go over a little bit more.
We don't see the screen at all.
Yeah.
Don't see it.
We can see the Imam, but not the screen.
Give me a
Oh,
second.
excuse, not shared. Oh, really sorry, guys. Shall we start again then?
No, it's good as it is.
I don't mind.
Ah, there you go. That's it.
Oh, you missed all the slides, but you will get them from Aki.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, did you see that?
Oh,
Okay, so that's Malaysia. This one, anybody can guess? This in Philippines. Okay, and this one.
oh,
They are celebrating as well, but within the means they have, you know.
Is it Afghanistan?
Afghanistan, yes. This is Afghanistan. Correct, thank you. And this one?
oh,
No,
oh.
that's why it's hard to guess.
Well, Russians wear silly hats like that.
Yes, spot on. This is Moscow.
So they're allowed to pray, but watched over by the state.
No, I think it's not watching. I think these are guys with some like megaphone, maybe to do a bit of celebration afterwards,
Okay, hope so.
because their uniform looks like, I don't know. But this is from Moscow, basically, one of the main mosques there. And what about this one?
India.
Yeah, I think it's India. Yeah. And this one?
This is China. no?
China.
This is China.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This is various Eid prayers. And this one. Place many of you go to Turkey, Istanbul, Blue Mosque in Istanbul. Okay, and this one. England. No.
Nigeria.
Nigeria, no. This is Bangladesh as well. Okay. But this is quite common scene around Eid, actually throughout the world. But this is the pictures I managed to find on the internet. And this one, also Bangladesh, is the same picture, but this is where they are in prostration. This one.
That's in the UK.
That's UK is very big. Could be anywhere from Scotland to
Central London then.
a good try. Wrong answer.
Southampton.
Southampton. It is Southampton. This is the Hogland Park. This one, but this is not the whole community, because what happened is, as you probably know, not everybody has the same opinion. I think they've been trying to get it for everybody to be in the park, but not all the mosques agreeing yet. So in Southampton, we don't have Eid prayer where all the mosques are participating yet. Hopefully we can get it soon, but then you need to get the mosques to agree to work together and do it. And also I think the weather doesn't help, you see, because if you bring everybody out and then it's raining on the day. Logistically it's quite, but this is Southampton, and there's a small group not representing the whole city, but it's an amazing start. What about this one?
Southampton again. Yeah.
Yeah, same one, but this is better picture. And what about this one? It's a smaller Muslim community. Outskirts of Southampton. So Chandler's Ford, Eastleigh, Chandler's Ford. Okay, it's the Chandler's Ford, Eastleigh. And this one.
Still in the UK?
No. Yeah, this is huge, like ocean of people there. Huge, like ocean of people
That's
there.
somewhere like Istanbul, I reckon.
No, it's I think China, this one. No, it's I think China,
Iran?
this one. Yeah, and this one is China. Yeah, and this one is China. This is Bangladesh. There's somebody. Okay. This one, the Indonesia. And one other thing happened in Eid. I know it's not healthy. If anybody medical here, please excuse us. A lot of sweet, eaten on Eid. A lot of sweet prepared. Sometimes our families start preparing for sweets and stuff a few days before. Here, mostly in the UK, people just buy it from the shops. But in many countries, they just make it. It's homemade. Okay, for the celebration, you can find us in halal shops, Asian shops. So this is another one. These are big shops. Okay, there's one other thing. Anybody can say anything about this?
Yes.
What is this? What does this have anything to do with Eid?
Yeah, it normally, well, different places do different things.
Is Abdullah, you Muslim, you know the answer. Don't say, please.
Oh, okay. That's
Anyone else from our non-Muslim friends?
Is this to do with about the family connection?
It's just to do with family connections, actually remembering the dead. Yeah, so usually after Eid prayer in many countries, people will go. This one actually from my own city. I know the picture is not very clear, from Aleppo in Syria. This one here is from the UK, somewhere, I think either London or Birmingham. After Eid prayer, we will go to the graveyard, to the cemetery, just visit, their loved ones who passed away, just like, remember them and reflect. So, the Eid can be sometimes also moments of reconciling with what's happened through the year, remembering. So it could be moments of, I wouldn't say sadness, but it's pain as well. And I'll mention some examples in a minute. So this one, another one here. Okay, so people visit the graveyards and just, you know, pay respect and pray for their loved ones. And also there is a message with this one is that 1 year past of our life, you know, 1 year is gone. So from Ramadan to next Ramadan, 1 year is gone. So we are 1 year closer to the grave. And when you're visiting the graveyard, it's very much like visiting the hospital. Then you realize, you know, the benefits and the blessings which we are enjoying day in, day out without, you know, appreciating sometimes. So once you go hospital and see various illnesses and say, oh, thanks God, you know, my problem is very small. I'm lucky. Now, same thing here, when you go to the graves, you see a lot of our loved ones, could be a parent, could be a brother or sister or somebody who we know, or could be a friend that are 6 foot under and say they're gone. Now I'm still here. So I have a chance to do more and get closer to God and pray more, do more charitable, serve humanity, do, you know, more positive difference in the society, because death is coming anyway. No one can escape from it. And I am 1 year closer to the grave as well. So it's a reminder of death, at the same time paying respect and praying for the loved ones. So many Muslims will do that. Not much happening in Southampton to my knowledge. It just, I don't know, dare I say it, because we're lazy. But we're supposed to do that, you know, if we can. It's really, it's heart softening exercise. We should do it more often, actually. Not just on Eid, but regularly if we can. But at least once a year, you know, if you don't do it once a year, when are we going to do it, you know? Just to remember and reflect. I mentioned, remember the reflection. Okay, this one here, it is Eid prayer, and it is a celebration of Eid, but these guys are crying. Anybody guess where this is?
Bangladesh,
Nope. Not far from it.
India.
Nope. Exactly. So this is in Burma, Myanmar, where, you know, there's a lot of refugees from Arakan, from places where their homes being burnt, and there are refugees, especially a lot of them in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh. Yeah. And then people remember their homes, remember their families, and to reflect on the pain as well. I mean, it is, if you ask mental health specialists or, I don't know, experts, they will tell you sometimes it's healthy to cry, you know. Sometimes it's useful to, you know, reconcile with yourself and cry a bit, let things out, you know. So that's the time when they're praying and remembering. And I have seen firsthand scenarios and situations around the world where I happen to be in those places where it happened and people have a lot of suffering. And on Eid day, the kids will be buzzing around and enjoying their sweets and everything, but the parents, you know, crying in the corner. We are human beings, aren't we? Yeah. So sometimes Eid can bring these memories as well. Okay, here we are. That's any questions? And this is a mosque email address and my contact number. If anybody has any questions. So where shall we leave one picture?
They leave it
Okay.
on one of the slides, which went shared, I think.
Okay, let's go through the beginning of the slides, which you missed. So this one, just nothing there, just Eid Fitr. This one, what is Eid Al Fitr? You will receive them anyway. This one about the rituals. I think this is the most important. We'll leave it here.
Sure.
The meaning of Eid.
We've got some messages on the chat.
Let's go through them.
Maybe there's some questions here. Oh, just thank you, Dee. We actually didn't see these ones. And that's fine. Yeah, does anyone
Should make it bigger so we can read?
Sure.
Will that go here?
I've got 2 questions, Anas.
Yeah.
It's great to hear, isn't it? I mean, we as Christians have Lent,
Yeah.
which is not as strict as Ramadan.
Yeah, but 10 days more though.
Yeah, I know.
40 days, we have 30 days.
But we cheat a lot, I think, during Lent, especially in the 21st century. But it's really great to hear that, you know, if you are sick or
Yeah.
aged, or there's something other that, you know, you don't have to do the full fasting.
No, yeah.
Who makes that decision? Does the person make that decision, or do they have to check with the imam?
Okay, very good question. Shall I repeat the question in case if you didn't hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, in case if they didn't hear that. So the question from coming from the point of view of when Father Vincent, you know, bless him, he raised first he made a comment about the similarities between the Muslim fasting, Ramadan, and the Christian, the Lent. As I said earlier on, I mean, in the Quran, it's all the nations before us, they used to do the fast as well. So it's not something new. So the question is this, that if you're unwell or ill or you cannot do the fasting, then you can break your fast or you don't have to fast. So the question is, who make that decision? Is it the individual or is it the imam? Or so in Islam, we have the general guiding rules where it gives the guidance of who is supposed to fast, who's not supposed to fast. So the illness, for example, it's all listed categories. It's clear cut. Illnesses is one of them. Traveler, one of them, and just a few other categories as well. But then when it comes to deciding, I can say, I mean, I know like one of my kids, youngest one, the other day, he said that fasting is hard. You know, I was talking to the youngster the other day. He's age 15, 16. He said, I can't do it. He said, why you can't do it? He said, I'll be starving. I said, oh, of course you'll be starving. This is the idea. He said, no, but I can't do it. He said, do you have any illness? You know, anything wrong with you? He said, no, nothing wrong, but I can't stay without food. I said, I'm sorry, you have to do it. But if he says, I have to drink medication, I have to eat medication, or fasting will cause me medical problems, then we say, actually, no, you shouldn't fast. So the imam can guide on this, and the actual guidance itself is quite clear as well. Now, having said all of that, if I want to cheat, I can cheat regardless, you know. I can ask them, do you mean how I put the question to the imam? If I put the question to the imam or the sheikh and say, fasting caused me a lot of inconvenience, a lot of problems, health problems, the imam automatically say, no problem, you don't have to fast. But then I know I'm cheating myself, you know.
On top of that, then, Anas, think of the world that we live in, all this sort of stuff. Do
Technology.
you also fast from online games or internet use or for pleasure? I mean, is that really fast?
That's a very, very good question. And actually, I should have covered it in the PowerPoint, but I didn't. And thank you for reminding me. So now I will cover it, which is the inner dimension of fasting. I think maybe it's part of here, the reflecting, the last point, but it's not too explicit there. You know, there's one is fasting of the organs. So fasting of my stomach, I don't eat, I don't drink. But then the fasting of the spirit, you know. So I am fasting today, for example. So I'm not eating or drinking and refraining from following the rules. But that's the outward, you know, so outwardly, this is the, you know, I shouldn't use the word superficial. This is superficial, it's a real fasting. But then there is inward dimension of fasting, you know, and that one is where my ear can fast, how my ear can fast. I don't listen to backbiting. If someone talking about, oh, you see, I'm serious, stop it, sir. You know, this is backbiting, you know, I'm fasting. I can't listen to that, you know, somebody making false, you know, same thing in the fasting of the eyes, you know, in Islam, you are allowed to look and enjoy the world and things around you, but there are certain things you can't look at, like pornography or those, you know, lustful looks to, you know, someone who is not, you're not allowed to look at. So you need to be extra careful with that. Then there's fasting of the tongue. So how the tongue will fast? When you speak the truth. When you say what is good. You know, fasting of the hands, you know, use them to help someone, be charitable, be helpful. So every organ in our body has its own fasting, and that only can be interpreted by the individuals. I can be superficial in my fasting, refrain from food and drink, and do all other horrible things. Still, my fasting will count, but the impact and the benefit of fasting, the real benefit, will not happen. You know what I mean? So there's two dimensions here. One is the physical fasting, which you still get your reward from God and everything, but then the actual treatment, the actual healing, the actual remedy, which comes from fasting to the soul, to the minds, to the body, will not happen if I don't get every organ in my body to fast. Now, coming to technology and your questions in terms of social media and stuff, we are strongly encouraged to really cut out anything which is unnecessary and focus in the month of Ramadan on worship, reading the Quran, doing good deeds, helping, doing good deeds, but not to waste time. We shouldn't waste time anyway, even outside Ramadan. But in Ramadan, it's more important because this is only 30 days and it will fly very quickly. And it's Ramadan rain, so any good deed you do 70 times. So there is no teaching about social media or anything like this.
Yeah, we would argue the same. We would say that during Lent, the things that you really enjoy, maybe fast from them.
Yes.
Even go to a cinema or soaps on television. So it's similar.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that you can focus your energy on those things which, can bring benefit. Because many things we do in our life, they are not necessarily haram or forbidden, but they're not beneficial either. Yeah. So these are asking very good questions, Vincent, today. Bless you. Anybody has any more questions?
I have a quick question as well.
Yeah.
Do any of the mosques in Southampton, sorry for my ignorance, hold itikaf?
Etikaf. That's it's not Eid related, but this kind of pre-Eid. Etikaf means seclusion, where and going back to Vincent's question again, is where you maximize your time and isolate yourself, where you sit down, read the Quran, pray, reflect, meditate, remember God and do your prayer, where you lock yourself in the mosque. It's called i'tikaf. I'tikaf means seclusion. All the mosques where they have permission, where people can sleep, they all have i'tikaf. So to my knowledge, Medina Mosque has it, Abu Bakr Mosque has it, Bashir Ahmed Mosque has it. I think majority of the big mosques, unfortunately, our mosque in Northern don't have it because we don't have the facilities. Usually you need to have like a proper kitchen, you need to have like a shower in case of needed and stuff like this. So those mosques are equipped, they all have it. Some mosques could have like 20, 30, 40 people. Some could have maybe 4 or 5. But it is strongly encouraged, strongly recommended act that try to take time off. Obviously, I would love to do it, but I'm working. It's not compulsory, but it's highly rewarding, the i'tikaf. So it is happening in Southampton. So answering your question, which mosque? Medina Mosque, definitely. If you go now, and actually started from yesterday. Yeah, because this is where we're in the last 10 days. So if you go Medina Mosque now, you see people doing i'tikaf. Abu Bakr Mosque have it. Bashir Ahmed Mosque in Portswood have it. I'm not sure about the other mosques. I have not visited last 2 days, but I know historically those big mosques, they all do it. Yeah. That's a good question. Let's see the chat. Any questions?
Okay, so why is it that men and women pray separately, or am I wrong?
Oh, that's a very good question. You want to answer it? No.
I mean,
Is that from Tina? So, because we don't want them to be distracted, because women get easily distracted by men. Does that answer your question?
You're waiting for Tina to get back, aren't you?
Because you want them to focus. You want them to focus on the prayer and the actual rituals of the prayer. We don't want the woman to be distracted by the men, you see.
Come on, Tina, come back.
Yes, unfortunately, I'm a born again skeptic, so yeah, no, it's interesting because obviously in other religions, and I have obviously more use of the sort of Christian, English Christian faith, is where everybody comes together for ceremonies. So yeah, yeah.
You see, traditionally, when we pray, the women and men can pray in the same room, but they need to be, there need to be a buffer zone, need to be safety margin, They can't be praying next to each other, standing like side by side. They need to be a little bit of distance, could be a couple of meters, just behind each other. But most of the mosques, they will do it separate rooms because, logistically, you see, like we start the prayer, let's say 20 men, 10 women, and then suddenly another 20 men turn up, are late for the prayer. It'd be very difficult to manage. Having said that, in big mosques like in Mecca, when you go for Hajj or Umrah, they are mixed. They're all over the place. But where possible, we try to separate them so that focus can be on the prayer, not on other things.
Okay. Your events are obviously a lot more racier than ours are. So.
And Judaism does the same. So in the synagogue.
Yeah, in synagogue the same.
Room, but the men and women will be separate.
Yeah. So it's not just us Muslims, some Christians, and definitely our Jewish friends, they're all the same as well. So it's not just us.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you check the chat? If there's any questions?
I don't believe there is anything on the chat now. Yeah. Has anyone else got any more questions?
If you don't have questions, I'll ask you questions.
Do you have any plans for the Eid?
Plans for the Eid? Usually, a good question. Usually, plans for the Eid is made by the Home Minister or the kids,
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because that's their time, So I remember last Eid, the kids took us all the way to Bournemouth because I have this fun fair, like games and stuff. So everybody's celebrating with each other, and we are in Bournemouth. So this is like daft, but I have to go along with them. So
But if your son is struggling to fast, he'll probably want to take you out for a big meal.
Yeah. So usually it's planned by the family because they where we want to go, who should we visit, and many people end up traveling. Like you see, a lot of these guys, whole family go to London, or family from London go to Cardiff. Cardiff people come to Southampton. Just like very much like Christmas, where people travel and meet each other. And the only thing though, that holiday time is not much holidays. Most places you can't. It's not an official holiday. It'd be lovely to have a week official holiday. I think if somebody speaks to the Prime Minister, I think it would be good.
So your congregation, do they find it quite difficult to celebrate? Is it difficult to get time off?
For the prayer itself, they can because it's only a couple of hours. Actually, that's going to be even half an hour. Actually, half an hour, 45, maybe an hour. You can do it, and whatever work conditions we have, we can still always take 1 hour off and come. But if I want to visit, say, relatives or friends in Birmingham, then I can't do it in 2 hours. So we need the whole day and maybe 2 days. And if I have another family in Leicester, then I need 2-3 days. And if it's that holiday, you can't do it because work commitments. So we will end up delaying it to the weekend after, or just apply for holidays like everyone entitled for certain days. So many people take their holidays around that time so they can socialize and visit. But it is, of course, it'll be lovely to have Eid Al Fitr, just like Christmas, like 1 week, 2 weeks. Yeah, it'll be really nice. Yeah.
In terms of hate crime, and kind of the work that the network does. Do you see an increase in hate crime around Ramadan and Eid because people might be more visible or more people attending mosques?
Can I repeat the question so that's the, and apologies, I've not been, I've been answering the questions, but not reading them, not telling you what the question is, but you probably can guess what the question from my answers. But this question is, do we see any trends rising, you know, in the hate crime around Ramadan? Frankly, no, because most of the Ramadan and the congregation of activities happen in the evening, where roads mostly empty, and we do get obviously some hate crimes issues recently with some taxi drivers, you know, and but that's not Ramadan related. That's just, you know, work related, and that's happened throughout the year. Sometime in some places, I mean, luckily in Southampton, I'm not aware of any, but in other cities, when there is bigger crowd, you might attract wrong attention, where we will decide to do something or launch an attack or do some arson, you know, like it did happen in some places, but not in Southampton to my knowledge. I mean, we have a police officer here, can tell us. Anything you're aware of?
No, well, we both.
Are you both police? Oh, okay. Oh, then I should ask you the question.
I think it's,
Usually Ahmed Sasso will give us all these statistics, you know.
there is, obviously there was a lot of tension due to the incident in Birmingham. That was before the Ramadan. wasn't
Yes,
it?
yeah.
There was a lot of worries and.
Yeah, that was worrying, and it's still worrying.
And unfortunately, we'll get an odd incident. I don't think it's related to the Ramadan itself.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of some people can't respect others.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's definitely the increase of people in the area. Occasionally, of course, not worries, but some people will question why there are so many people in the area.
Yeah.
Without obviously knowledge that the Ramadan is in place, but we may receive at the beginning of Ramadan, you know, phone calls from the community members, like why there are so many people congregated.
Yeah.
But in Southampton, I think we are fully aware that we've got a big Muslim community, and luckily we've got people who understand the culture and religion. So.
Thank you, Alex.
I think, as you say, and most of it takes place indoors. I mean, this weekend is Vasaki, isn't it? Because that'll be out of doors. That'll be interesting to see if that attracts unnecessary attention.
Yeah, it's this year we've got Vasaki, obviously Easter just gone, and Ramadan all in one time. Isn't it?
But again, Easter we tend to celebrate indoors.
Yeah.
Some certainly on Palm Sunday, which of course is the week before Easter. In last place I was in, we had a procession around the town, and that will sometimes create comments, negative comments.
Yeah.
But I think when it's private, it probably doesn't, which is good.
Because mostly, I mean, the night prayer in Ramadan is called Taraweeh prayer, where a lot of Muslims, I'll say majority of people would, that's in the mosque. So
there's one chat up there.
And same thing, breaking the fast usually happen indoor as well. So the only time maybe there's visibility is just coming in the mosque and leaving the mosque, and sometimes there's any crowd or congregation outside the mosque. And that's the only time. So any questions here? Are there certain foods that's eaten this time? Very good question. And that goes to different cultures, you know. I can tell you about ours, you know, like in Syria, what we used to do, and that tradition. Sometimes people come from different backgrounds, you know, Afghans, Syrians, Egyptians, Yemenis, Pakistanis, Bengalis. They have different systems how they do it, and the answer is yes. I think there are, because whatever culture we go, always every Eid they have same or similar traditions where there's sometimes samosas, pakoras. Syrians, they will do rice and beans with tomato sauce. Other places will do biryani, and I know some Pakistani friends, they do the chickpeas with yogurt, and I don't know what's called, forgive my ignorance. If anybody Pakistani here can tell us what they call the chickpeas with on Eid day with tea, obviously, and sweet always will be there for some reason, homemade sweet or purchased sweet. You make us feel hungry now.
Yeah, we shouldn't be talking about food.
No, that's fine. But that's a good question. So, are there certain foods? Yeah, it's not part of the religion. From spiritual, from religious point of view, we meant to be actually all what we're doing. Maybe let me say the honest thing here and the truth. From Islamic perspective, from Islamic point of view, we meant to be cutting down on the food. We meant to be reducing our food, meant to be reducing our eating and consumption of food in Ramadan and on Eid. But what happened is the opposite, unfortunately. And that's why people sometimes very, very happy. Ramadan fasting is so healthy, it's a cure for so many diseases because give the rest of the body, various organs take. But as soon as Eid come, people start eating again. So a lot of illnesses happen after Eid. Abdullah, can you say something? What's your tradition in Nigeria or Gambia? What do you cook for Eid? No, I mean, I know he doesn't cook, but...
Okay. Yeah, in Gambia we have Benachin, we call it jollof rice, and I think part of Nigeria also use the same, and Ghana, and probably like use a lot of them use jollof rice, or we call it Benachin, as part of the Eid celebration. And as you said, you know, it's normally comes with other stuff that people using. But there is normally across there is normally a lot of oily food that's eaten during Eid. A lot of oily and great food.
Luckily, we don't have any doctors with us now, so
It's good.
I shall come and try yours on Eid.
Yeah. I'll make sure that you have some medicine for you. But most likely the Friday will not be Eid anyway. So we don't know whether it's more likely to be on Saturday or Sunday. That's where the problem is, isn't it?
Yeah, and what about yours?
We cannot say for sure when it's going to be Eid.
We have Akib here with us. I don't know, is it Bangladesh,
sure.
Pakistan?
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
In my region, typical is we'll have some kind of rice and meat in the night when we break our fast. Is this for Eid? Yeah.
Yes, for Eid.
Yeah. So we'll wake up. We'll have some kind of dough with meat, and then in the lunch we'll have some kind of rice and meat, and there'll be obviously samosas and stuff. And in the night we'll have rice, cream, and mango, and you meet it together. Nice. Sticky rice, cream, and mango. Yeah, that's how we.
And you miss the pakoras.
Yeah. Of course, because
the samosas and pakoras is a must with the tea. There's some more questions, I think. How do you?
Yeah.
I think jollof rice is the same. Jollof rice is rice with meat or chicken or things like that. Yeah, it's similar to biryani, but it's a bit different. It's closer to fried rice, something like that, but it's to do with meat and chicken, and sometimes fish. A lot of people use fish.
Very nice.
They're all from the biryani family, aren't they?
Yeah, they are from the biryani family. Yes. Biryani species. Yes.
There's one thing I forgot to mention about Eid. It's just exactly because of. If you don't give me questions, I'll create things to talk about. So, because of exact reason, we become busy with eating and celebrating and food and all of that. So sometimes God, Allah become forgotten, in the process. So you come out from a month where everybody's very, very busy, worshiping, praying, and highly spiritual and highly quickly going into indulging in food, social visits, chit-chatting, talking, everything else. So the remembrance of God sometimes just drops the level, if you like, if you look at it at levels. So therefore, there is an explicit instruction or teaching from the Prophet, peace be upon him, where those who stay up in the night of Eid, meaning the last day of Ramadan, so after Ramadan is confirmed, ended, so Ramadan confirmed over, now it's Eid, and usually happen the night before Eid. So if Eid is tomorrow, it'll be confirmed tonight after sunset. So from that moment onward, we were just too busy now, celebrating, getting ready, cooking, whatever. So that night, this is the teaching from the Prophet, peace be upon him, those who spend their night, this night, the night of Eid, remembering God, reflecting, praising God, remembering God, the good result of that, the consequence is that God will keep their hearts alive when the hearts are dead by the extreme indulgence in this world. I don't know if I'm making sense. When we indulge too much in shopping, in desires, fulfilling the desires, all types of desires, then the heart is not remembering God. It's just busy enjoying and indulging in things, which is all permissible, of course. We're not allowed to do anything forbidden. But even if it's permissible thing, if it's halal thing, halal relationship, halal food, halal drinks, if you eat too much of that, that kills the heart, the spiritual heart. So we are encouraged to do less of that and more of the remembrance of God. And if that one night, you remember God through the night and continue your traditional worship of the whole month for the one extra night, God will keep your heart alive for the rest of life. I don't know how many people do that, but that's the offer.
So do we have any more questions from anyone on Zoom, or is that all? Okay, it looks like we haven't got any more questions. You're right to kind of wrap up now, or?
Yeah, if anybody has any question, they can all email it later on.
Absolutely. I mean, that's fine then, yeah.
And just want to say a huge thank you to this center and this network for inviting me to come. I know I'm doing like in a not very formal, just general sharing of Ramadan experiences and Eid experiences. So thank you for the opportunity, and see you soon again.
Yeah, I'm just gonna show you some information about the network if you wanted to get in touch, or there was anything else you wanted to find out about us. So of course, as I'm sure most of you are aware, we are the Southampton and South Hampshire Hate Crime Network. It was formerly the Southampton Hate Crime Network, but we're looking at more of a larger area now. So tk you to anyone who's from Basingstoke or any of the other areas.